it's just crazy. I mean, you move into a house for 10 months with people that you don't know, and God just moves radically.
This is really neat. I'm enjoying this. Just getting to know other people and just pursuing them the way that they are to be pursued by one another. Because of that, my relationship with them just went sky high.
Welcome to the 516 Exit Interviews. I'm here with rearranging and Rachelle Tutwilder. So excited to have you guys. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, you guys started at 516, year 2018 to 2019. How has it been the whole year?
It's been very emotional, but very pleasant at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Just interacting with the rest of the crew and getting to know myself in the midst of inner healing and just all of the teachings that we received with Pastor Chris and the different guest speakers we had.
Yeah.
Ditto. It was amazing. I mean, she just said it perfectly. There was so many, it's just crazy. I mean, you move into a house for 10 months with people that you don't know, and God just moves radically. So there's so much to it, but it was amazing.
Yeah. You guys were one-on-one partners, right?
Yeah.
So tell me what that
And
looks like.
roommates and bunk buddies.
All of the above. So tell me what that looks like to start off with. What is that? What does it mean to be one-on-one?
One-on-ones. Just to really dig in deep, to get to know that person, their hearts. To me, one-on-one means growing together as sisters, and asking questions that the typical person who interacts with Rachelle wouldn't really know how to ask, or wouldn't even know to ask because they're not interacting with her to the deep level that we do because we're sharing a room together, we're doing everything together basically.
Yeah, she knows how I am at 5 a.m. and 6 p.m. So there's like an intimacy that, people think they may know, but they don't. They don't know what you're walking through.
Yeah.
To me, for me in the beginning, one-on-one, I'm like, that's such an unnatural, this is my one-on-one. It was always weird for me because I'm like, what does that mean? But me, it's in a perfect way of describing it. It's really like me as my person and whatever it is that I was going through, I would go to Mia and we would talk about it. We would meet every week and it's this level of accountability who that not only is she fighting for you as your best friend, but she's also someone that's going to call you out on things that she sees. And so having someone that so committed to taking notes while you talk or actually really calling you higher is such a gift and something that I feel as in friendships we just have friends that we do things with, but then they have no idea what is actually going on in your home, or they have no idea actually what it is that you struggle with when you're in a room full of people. And so to be able to actually be there for each other and help each other look more like Jesus is the idea.
Yeah, very cool.
Consistency.
Also, I feel there's an interesting aspect about 516 in that everybody, both leadership and people above you as well as each other, are so keen on your development.
Yeah.
So Mia, I'm assuming that you were in these one-on-ones, you're very keen on Rachelle's development and vice versa.
Totally.
She was.
Did that? I imagine that's encouraging at the same time hard. Can you guys speak into that at all? The difficulties of being so accountable to somebody.
I remember a few encounters. I'll be in the room, a hot mess, and Rachelle would walk in what's going on? And because I wasn't used to being held to such a high level when it comes to emotional stuff, I would just shut down and not share much with her and wouldn't know how to start sharing my emotions with her. And it put her in a really awkward position until she learned me and I learned how this is how I am to approach the situation. Don't just shut down and keep everything in, but she's there to listen to me, to help me out, help me process. So that was my experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, the hard part was probably clipboards freak me out. So if someone's sitting down with a list of questions and they're so tell me about this, I'm you don't even know my middle name, how awkward, you know what I mean? It was just this you're thrown into this program and now you are required, if you want to grow, to share your whole heart with someone. And so for me, like the structure of it was weird and unnatural because I'm a really relational person. And so for me, like when you make it a certain way, it was hard for me to kind of like just be like, go get coffee and actually talk about, our hearts or our favorite movie, like it was kind of like difficult. But like in those questions and in that, it taught me how to like not need that to go deep and like to really just like put my heart and be vulnerable out there before that. So yeah, it was definitely one of the most interesting experiences I've ever had. And obviously like it helped us being roommates, right? So like we're having our one-on-ones, but then like we also are with each other all the time, and we were the only girls in the program. So it was really amazing, and we couldn't be more different, but also like we're so similar.
Yeah.
So it was really cool, and like we've learned so much from each other.
That you've seen in each other over the past year. And so obviously so you speak for Shelly, so what have you seen in her growth and vice versa?
I've seen in Shelly how slower she is to speak now. She's a whole lot more considerate with the group as a whole and even individuals in the group, because for me personally, I'm slow to speak. And she would even be like, Mia, it's okay, like, go, it's your turn. And I'll be like, no, this person's still talking, or I'm gonna wait till everybody else goes, to the point that I don't even get to go and the conversation is already changed, and it's like, how do you get to go? So because of that personality trait in her, like, she helped me step out of my comfort zone more. And so I've seen her grow in that area because she's very intentional. She's very intentional when it comes to that. She's very aware, much more aware now. And there was this controlling aspect to her as well. And she's brought it down a lot.
Those are the two things. That's amazing.
She's brought it down a lot, and I'm really proud of her for that.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, first, like Mia, obviously her smile like is infectious. So I feel like your demeanor is really inviting. So I remember when I first met you, like you were just so warming and like so kind and gentle. And I was like, whoa. And then we had our first journal teaching where we journal through all of Matthew 5, 6, and 7. So each week we have like probably 8 verses, or like 6. But like by the time we have journal teaching, we've had like a couple, and we'll go through and share what we wrote. And I remember like the first week, Mia was like, I'll pass. And I'm like, the girl's passing? Like, why? Her heart is gold. And the next week, she would share one and then pass. And then the last one, she is like sharing so much and crying and pouring her heart out. And so I saw like, that's just one small example, but I watched her, be so gentle and kind with her words and like almost, and truly in a beautiful way, like let people go, but then like their underlining emotions were like, my words aren't worth it. No one wants to hear me. Mm-hmm. And then like as the year went on, it was like, no, like what I have to say, I trust you with it and I want to share. And I've just gotten to see her come out of her shell in so many areas, and she just like beams. She is so helpful. That's always been in her, but just to see her help in a healthy way, because someone who has the gift of giving and helping and loving people, like, they are just going for it all the time, which really I do believe if Jesus was here, he'd be doing the same thing. But I've gotten to see her now, like, know when she needs rest. So, she would do anything for anybody. And for me personally, I've gotten to just learn so much of, like, how to serve, like, for what people need, like, simply. Like, what do you need? I'm going to do it for you. Rather than, like, I can be available to you if it fits in my schedule and if I'm good at that, and not like she's just open and like whatever it is, I'm doing it. So that is like, I don't think I've ever seen that in a person before. So and like, when you live with someone, you see it all. Yeah. It's not just like a public thing. It's like even in the morning, she's like, do you need anything? I'm like, dude, it's 5 a.m. What do you mean? Like, what? It's amazing.
That is really beautiful. That's so cool. And it's so cool to see how God has built the diversity in the kingdom and how we can rub off on each other, because like you guys have clearly like your willingness to speak up has influenced you.
Learned a lot.
Yeah.
Just watching her.
Yeah, and it's at the same time that honor that you have for others has clearly spoken into Rachelle.
It's hilarious. We took a personality test, and obviously like do those in like wisdom because they're, you know, it's a test. But it's hilarious because when I took it, I got like ENFP, and then hers was the complete opposite. Like the letters were the complete opposite, and we both were like, it was at the very beginning. Like we didn't really know each other that well, so we were like, "Oh, haha, that's funny," and we were like, "Oh boy." It was so funny. It was awesome, but no, I mean it's so good when you're different because you know. Anyway, yeah, it was amazing.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When you stick to what you know, you don't grow as much.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Good.
That's cool.
It also was fun. We had bunks, so I'm like, "Hey, meet us up." Like, so do 516.
It's all about the bunks.
Yeah, when
Need
you're
bunk beds.
Yeah, it brought us back to our childhood and spiritually.
It was really neat.
I didn't even grow up in bunk beds, and I want to do this.
It was so fun. It was amazing. And I picked the top, and she was like, "Good thing I hate the top." So we just had so much fun.
It was perfect.
So, challenges. Obviously, you guys face a lot of challenges. I know Challenge Week is a big thing. And we talked about, I know for you, Rachelle, we talked about Challenge Week being difficult, having to stay silent.
Yes.
So, I've heard a bit of that story. Let's swing to your story. Because tell me about your challenge that you were given.
So, two of them really stick out to me. So I had two main challenges. The first one was for me to be the first to initiate, like, hey, I want to pray, let me pray. For me to open in prayer and close in prayer. And it was really neat because earlier that week before we were assigned these challenges, the Lord had placed on my heart for me to be the first to start praying and for me to close in prayer. But I'm like, I'm cool. Good. Mm-hmm. And then out of nowhere, my leaders were like, all right, Mira, this is what you're doing. And I was like, what? So that was really neat. Eventually, like, my confidence grew as far as me praying in a crowd and just being the center of attention, and just like being the only one speaking and everybody like listening, because I don't enjoy that at all. And then
Used to. You used to not enjoy it.
I'm so kidding. And the second one was, so it was 7 of us living in a home, 7 women. And
you're married with a daughter, you understand.
Didn't make sense. She's still not talking yet.
Not yet, you just wait for it. So I made number 7. So the challenge was that every night for a certain amount of days, I had to initiate conversation with these ladies. 1 per night for the minimum of 20 minutes. And I was a little nervous about it because I'm like, these people don't want to talk to me. Like, and I don't have time. Like, I'm in 516, waking up at 5 a.m., going to bed around 10, 11 at night. And it was a bit challenging because I had to get past those lies I believed about myself and others. But by the 2nd, 3rd night, it was like, this is really neat. I'm enjoying this. Just getting to know other people and just pursuing them the way that they are to be pursued by one another. That was very enjoyable. I really liked it. And because of that, my relationship with them just went sky high.
Yeah.
Just the openness. When I'm around them, I don't, like, the lies are easier for me to shake off because I'm like, no, I know these hearts, you know, like, I am in and out. We're all in and out of the house throughout the day, but like, it doesn't mean that they love me less because, you know, things aren't being done the way I perceive it to. Because things aren't being done the way I would like it to be done. Yeah. So it grew me a lot as far as like relationship, and it taught me like this is how you are to pursue relationship with people. Like, you don't just, it's give and take. It takes 2 to really have a relationship, and it's just not one-sided. And for me to be more active in that area, even though it's uncomfortable, but just doing it because you love them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
I remember your conversations. You were so precious. So it was a minimum of 20 minutes, but like, 20 minutes is kind of a long time, but it's also like when you're actually talking, like it goes by fast. And I remember like one night, or actually a couple of the nights, because I would fall asleep before, because it would we have full days. So she would be talking at like 11 o'clock at night, and that means that they'd have to stay up. And at times it would be like 3-hour conversation. She came back in like beaming. She goes, Rachelle. I'm like, dude, what? She's like, that was amazing. I'm like, whoa. Like, and when you're actually like doing the things of the Lord, like it affects everything. Yeah. Like that gave her so much energy. She went to bed at 1 a.m. that night, but like woke up for prayer walk, like way more fueled than, you know what I mean? Like when you're actually in community, like doing it the right way.
Yeah.
And the same with like, the praying, like she's a prayer warrior. Like she's so intense. Like when she prays over food, it's like we're praying for the food, and like the enemy so wants to like keep it silent. So it's like she may not love it, but like, sorry, you're gonna have to do it forever. Anyway, it was so cool to watch that.
So you guys had experienced life with 5 other women who all of them have already been through the program.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So what was that aspect like? You guys kind of being in the minority of actually going through the program and being with these other women who have been sort of raised up through it.
To be honest, like it's really jam packed.
Okay.
So year 1 and year 2 do not overlap.
Mm-hmm.
So when year 1's doing stuff, year 2 isn't, and when year 2's doing stuff, we're not. The talks would happen throughout the days, but it wasn't like, when I think of this question, I don't have like a, like it was hard to like really get to know everyone just because the like days were just all over the place. But when we would have conversation or when we would talk, it was like amazing. And like it was helpful because when we had questions, like they were able to answer with their experiences, of course. But yeah, for me personally, it was a little difficult just because we were always going and like, there wasn't a lot of time really. I think now, like when it's over, like we'll really be able to have more time. But like personally, it was like a little difficult to like really understand how it was for them just because like we were always like on different schedules. Yeah. Yeah.
Would you agree?
I agree, but for me it was really different because I'm used to hiding and just being alone. And I enjoy my time alone. And so at the very beginning, it didn't really bother me. Just like, hi, bye, all right, see you later, see you tomorrow. But after my challenge, getting to know these ladies, it was like, oh, I want to see you more. Like, where are you going now? So it did eventually change. Like, we didn't get to spend as much quality time as our hearts desired and as like time permitted.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And I think it just speaks to like intentionality, right? Because like we could have scheduled it, but like we were figuring out how to even like do our things well. So like it's not necessarily like anyone's fault. It was just like practically like, it's an intense program and they're going through it too for a second time. So when it talks about like, lounging around and communicating, it wasn't really like a thing ever.
Yeah. I get you.
Yeah.
Cool. So there are several different aspects of 516. So you have teaching, you have such community driven, you have service driven, and this is all in an effort for you to get a holistic view of yourself, others around us, whether inside the body or outside the body, and of course our view of God. How would you guys say that your relationship with God has developed in this time?
Great question.
Yeah, I've definitely learned to be dependent on him, like a whole lot more than I thought Merlan, could have been, because prior to 516, I thought I was already like being dependent on him. And so it just, being in 516, it pushed me to just draw closer to him because of the things that would like come up through inner healing and community, and just feeling just as like different emotions came up, especially that I didn't really know the household. It was my first time away from family. And so it was just really difficult for me, just feeling excluded a lot, not feeling like I belonged. And so all I really knew was God. But through my pain and hurt, I really got to know him a whole lot more. Like, I thought I knew him, but those circumstances draw me closer to him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so from like what I was telling you before, like being in different communities and like just people in general, like I think you learn something new each time, right? Like community in general, like it's not really, like it's, you learn something new always with people. For me this time, like in this program, like I learned so like how to be like still in the busyness, because like realistically like it is so busy, and like so you learn how to do it like at rest, right? Like, you know, because life is always going to be busy, there's always things, you know, it never stops. So like in that, and it not being your schedule, so like you're submitting to someone else's schedule essentially that has become yours, and like learning how to be still in the busyness and also like trust God when like there aren't people around, even though you are around people, if that makes sense. Just because, you know, you put all of these people in a program with all of their mess and they're all learning how to deal with it and they're all doing the same things you are and they all process differently and they're all introverts or extroverts, right? Like you're all learning how to do different things, and your free times are often corporate. So, you know, there's this process of like, okay, like God's the only one that doesn't move. You know, God's the only one that's sovereign. God's the only one that can truly encourage me right now, because if I don't choose to speak, no one's really seeing it unless, you know, my one-on-one comes to me but you know, if everyone's not on, things can be overlooked. And so for me personally, just the busyness was really hard for me, and like really, I cannot tell you how many times I cried. And just how much I felt like, geez, like we're around people all the time, but like I don't even know what you put on your tacos. Like, you know, like this yearning to understand like the simple things. But like in all of that, like learning that, you know, I don't think I ever would have learned like how, you know, God can be your best friend and God knows all of these things, and like each season is different, and you know, you're not gonna be best friends with everybody. And so how do you like now like challenge each other, but also just be content with like what is around you and like who God is to you, you know, like not having these unhealthy expectations. Yeah. So yeah, it was definitely a new lesson that I'd never learned before, just because it's been different in other seasons. So yeah, it was really hard, but really cool.
Do you know what Mia likes on her tacos?
She doesn't like cheese.
No cheese on a taco?
No.
And oftentimes she doesn't use tortillas. She'll eat all the sides like separate on a plate.
Oh, like a salad.
Yeah. So basically I don't trust her. What do I like on my tacos?
She likes everything.
With
sriracha.
Oh, sriracha taco.
On all things. Thank you. I'm like, she doesn't like taco sheets, sides.
It's accurate.
That's amazing. But you do like beans and rice. And, yeah. See, but don't ask me what Joseph likes on his tacos. I don't know.
But the Lord knows.
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly.
Cool.
I think that's healthy too, just to add, sorry. Like, you know, in your workplace, you're not going to know everyone's like deepest secret, right? So like I'm 22 years old. I've been in places where I really did have deep relationships like that, but like to understand that like that's not how it works in life, and it can, right? Like there are times where you can be intentional, but like it's not going to be like that. I think it really showed me like, you know, like just taught me how to like be content.
Yeah.
Because I want to know everyone and I want to know everything about them, and that's not bad, but you can't like, you know, if you don't know something about them, be like sad about it.
Yeah, it's unsustainable.
Exactly.
Cases, yeah.
And it was really hard for me to understand that, because I was like, dude, like, why are we talking about our hearts if you don't know me? Like, it was like really hard for me. You know, because it was like, you know, we're not enjoying this. Like, you know, we're all together talking about these deep things, but then we'd never hang out. Yeah. But it's totally a lie from the enemy. Intense.
Cool. So, next steps. Talk to me. Where are you guys headed past 516? And that 516 is closing up.
Well, she's about to get married.
Thank God.
That's awesome. Congratulations. Does he know?
He definitely knows.
Okay, good. I'm glad that's all in there.
I'm gonna be in summer housing, so I'm gonna be serving the community of Tamarind during the summer while I work part-time because I'll be doing year 2 next year, and so I'm gonna save a little income just to be set for that.
Cool. Very cool.
I'm gonna start working.
Mhm.
I am really into retail, and I want to have my own store one day.
Oh.
So I want to connect. I want to connect women. Like I want to travel and bring back I want to buy and sell. So like a lot of companies have buyers who go away, get all of the content and bring it back, and then the business owners run the store. So I would love to go do that and then have a store and have it all linked back to human trafficking and really supporting the women that are and men both. I got to work a lot in India with that. And I feel like that's really something that I understand to a deeper way. I feel like God's given me a heart for it. I have no idea where it came from. It's only from the Lord. And so yeah, that's the big dream. But I would like to learn under a businesswoman who has a store, who likes pretty things. So the idea is to work and save and get married.
Cool.
I guess I'm the one proposing, so we'll see.
What aspects of 516 do you think will stand out the most in this transition when you guys are stepping into this next? Obviously, doing 516 year 2 is going to be. I think they're going to be closely tied, but I guess particularly with the time outside of 516, with your part-time job and as you're pursuing another vocation, what are the things that you think will stand out?
Definitely inner healing. And just walking through forgiveness and community, having that community mindset everywhere I go. Because America is so individualistic, and that's not a kingdom mindset. It's the complete opposite. And so just living my life as such to communicate that to others so that I can bring them in. Because honestly, majority of us feel lonely and we don't know how to verbalize it to other people because of pride. And so if I can bring that everywhere I am, God, it's giving the Holy Spirit more room to just freely move.
Yeah. Very cool. How about you?
So before 516, I had a horrible time reading my Bible. I had a really hard time making it a consistent thing, sitting down every day at the same time and reading. And we've done that for 10 months. And for the first 8 was really hard. And every time at the end of it, I'm like, this is amazing. And then the next day would roll around and I'd be again at the same time. And God really spoke to me, it really matters that you're intentional with your time with me. And then also God, spoke to me the freedom of it is also if you want to do it at night, do it at night. If you want to do, you can do it. And so that has changed everything because the second that I'm not putting in those words and other words are coming in, everything changes. I'm like a chameleon. If I'm listening to a different music and I'm with friends that don't believe in God, I'm more, it's what you put in really does affect what you give. So being in a place where, you're just putting in truth, I've just watched it so transform the way I see things. And, I know what I believe now way more than I did before. So that will definitely stay the same. I will definitely not stop pursuing God in that way. And also just deep relationships. I love people. So I can't wait to just know them deeper and really know the seriousness of it. I've always loved people. It's always been my favorite thing. People ask me what I love. I'm you. And it's kind of weird, but it's true. I just love people. But I think now, I'm way more intentional in the sense that, I want to walk with them now. And I really want to know, why they believe what they believe. And, so cool. We get to just know people and, we know what we believe. We can see now with Jesus' eyes. And so when people are not happy, it's so obvious, what it is that they're lacking or what it is that they're striving in or what it is that they need. And so just to be able to, love people is so cool.
Yeah. Amen. Do you guys have anything else you would like to say to anybody who would be viewing this film and considering 516 or the church? Large? Yeah, you guys are free to.
Do I look there?
If you'd like.
I'll look at you. So if I were to tell anyone like why they should do 516, I was actually thinking about this question like the other day, because I'm really like, I'm only a salesperson on something that I believe in. So like if you ask me to sell like a dress that's ugly, I can't. And I wouldn't tell everyone to do 516, because I think oftentimes we think like it's the only way to grow is if we do something right, like, and that's not the case. But I think anyone, and this basically tells everyone to do it. If you're a person who believes in God but doesn't know why, if you're a person who is working in the workplace and is completely doing it for the wrong reasons, like this isn't just a program to do as a gap year. This is a program that you can like lay down anything to do to like fall in love with Jesus. And I think like oftentimes programs, people think like if you don't have it all together, then you should do a program, you know, and then you'll figure it out. But this isn't like the next step so that you can now go learn. Like I chose this because like this is what I was passionate about. So I really think like even if you're a doctor and know you want to go into the medical field, why would you not want to do a 10-month program to like set yourself up for like success? So, you know, 516 isn't just something to do just to get closer to the Lord and people, but it's something to really consider when, you know, Christianity is what you believe in and you don't know how to defend your faith, or you don't know like how to read your Bible, or, you know, it's surfacey, or there's fear in your life, or there's a lot of pain you haven't dealt with. Like it's really for the common person who wants to walk with Jesus but doesn't know what it looks like. You know, I've been in the church my entire life, and you know, if you would ask me to get on a mic and talk to people why I believed in God, like I could have, but I didn't believe it, you know, with like my whole heart. And I think if that's you and like you want to profess that you love Jesus but don't know how, you should do 516. Yeah. And I think too, like, and if you don't be able to do it, like God will so work it out, like in your profession. Like I'm so big on like marketplace ministry. Like if God's calling you to be a vet, like do it with Jesus, you know, like, and it's absolutely 516. You can literally do the same thing, right? But I also just would challenge the ones who know their life's planned out perfectly with all the boxes checked, but like they know deep down there's something more. Do it.
Yeah, and also for those who are stagnant in their walk, the ones who are questioning their faith as well. I feel like
True.
they could really use something like this just to really open their eyes. Yeah, the ones who feels as if there's more out there, but they don't know how to get their hands. Like they don't know how to start this Christian walk. I feel like 516 would really be helpful for them. Yeah, and if they just want change in their life, true lasting change, 516 would really help with that.
Amen.
So true. Like even if you're, let's say, an atheist who is watching this video and is like, okay, that all sounds great, but too much for me. Like, God can totally use you. And I think too, like people who question and are curious, like God so wants to like wreck and love. So I think like this really is open to anyone who's
willing.
Totally, who wants to see like people, you know, changed. And like, you know, you hear like the world these days like talk about change and peace and all these things and don't believe in God, and you know, are like doing all of these campaigns, right? But then like those people aren't the ones that want to wake up at 5 and go talk to someone who is there, you know, on their street. So this is like a really practical way of like, if that's what you're passionate about and that's what you're writing on your sign, then go do it. Because, you know, your life will be changed forever, and there are people that are waiting.
Yeah. Very cool. All right, guys. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys coming out.
Thank you, Kevin.
And breaking this down for us. Thank you.